Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Wednesday's Talking Town. I'm, of course, your host, The Gov. This is traditionally, where we have a match day preview. We look ahead to the forthcoming weekend's game, but on a Wednesday after a Tuesday fixture, we, of course, pause, first of all, just to put the cherry on the top and neatly wrap it up and discuss and look back on the game that was Tuesday night. And this week, are we still buzzing? Are we still on the ceiling? Let me know, because I am buzzing to the point where I'm still wearing Ipswich Town merchandise. You know that it's getting real when the Gov is wearing stuff you can buy from the club shop. But I am not stopped buzzing all day. Evidently, equally, I'm sure we'll probably cover it throughout the course of whatever show. I've just muttered the immortal words backstage. If I was going to peer behind the curtain and bring you backstage with us, I've just muttered the immortal words of, shouldn't be a big show tonight. Normally, when I say those words, we can then extend like an hour and a half, and we're like, wow, where'd that come from? So let's see where tonight goes. Live chat as always. Live link will be there for you to get involved and have your say. This is the fan platform for fans by fans. We don't just ask you to tell me what you think. We ask you to come on and have your say. One club, one community, one Ipswich Town, and we are together. And we were all in unison last night with those handball shouts. I mean, let's be brutally honest. I know I was. In fact, to the point where I'm not even sure I really saw the third handball claim. I was out of my chair, effing and jeffing. I know I was winding up with a couple of C-bombs when he finally did point to the spot. I was that irate. I have not been out of my chair and that irate in a long time. But he wasn't going to give it, was he? Or was he? He did in the end. That's the most important thing. We've got Nick Miller saying Peterborough tickets are not arrived. Got to call up. Word on the street, Nick, is the Gov is going to be in Peterborough. I mean, it's getting real when the Gov is dusting off the A to Z. Stuff is getting real. But yes, I think I might venture into Peterborough. Kev Hansen, my heart rate is above normal. Can we finish the job, please, before I end up in hospital? Could you imagine if we go up and we are in the same position this time next year? It'd be pandemonium. We could use it as a good learning curve right now for next year's excitement. We're used to finishing 9th and 10th and 8th here, so let's use it. Rob Holmes, pleased with last night. It showed grit and character and another side to the team that we didn't have pre-January. I hope Benny Moore. So, evening all. Need an ultrasound on my leg. Again, not in the best of... Ben, I'm so sorry. We are standing with you, my brother, and Talking Town hopefully will deliver an entertaining insert length of time show for you this evening. Before we go any further, you can do many things to support the platform. First of all, hit the like button, subscribe, share it to all your friends and family. I mean, everyone supports Town these days. You can't drive through Ipswich without seeing somebody wearing a Ipswich Town shirt with Ed Sheeran blasted across the front, because everyone is proud of their football team. So share it high and share it wide. Or you can go one step further. If you really want to show your support to the fan platform, hit the join button on YouTube. Head to Ko-Fi. Links in the chat. You can set up what amount you want on Ko-Fi. 2 tiers available on YouTube. Cancel at any point. So if anything changes in your circumstances, no problems. Just cancel away. But if you do support the platform, if you can support the platform, please do. And you get access to the Discord, which I believe is very busy. Far more busier than I can keep up with. I'm going to be brutally honest. Just going to put it out there. I venture in. I see the carnage. I quickly do that Homer Simpson gif where you just sort of disappear back into the bush. We just like, I'll just close that down. That's far too busy for me, but it might be. It's a really good resource for Town fans to get together with other Town fans, a part of this wonderful community. So you all know there's no lemons lurking around the corner. Talking of a lemon, Governor Posh eyes, said the cruncher. Yes, well, I gave you the task and you seem to have delivered. Let's be brutally honest. Right, this evening, Port Vale thoughts, Broadhead brilliance. Luongo. No, I actually thought he wasn't his best last night, but he was still class. Don't get me wrong. But him and Sam Morsey again, another midfield masterclass. Luke Wolverhampton Player of the Year shout, possibly. We'll mention all those things, and we'll take a look at Sofa Scores ratings, and we'll compare them to our own and see what we think and feel? And joining me in this endeavour is you at home, but also more permanently, just in case nobody else wants to get involved, it's this man, designer George Nunn.
I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I wouldn't be surprised either way if Town are not playing Championship football next year. We're gonna be, George. You're gonna be. Believe. You said before the show, fingers crossed we will be. I don't think you need fingers for this one, George. Come on, believe, right?
Yeah, I still believe. Yeah, of course. We're in a decent spot.
A very decent spot. But I tell you what, at half-time yesterday, it wasn't looking as decent as we all thought it would be. Was it?
No, I think I don't know how it felt in the ground, but sat at home on my own on my sofa watching it, I had an instinct that they were going to score in that first half. I hoped it was going to be early enough that we'd be able to get one back, but yeah, it just looked, for all of our pressure, particularly in the first, because for the first sort of 5 or 10 minutes, I thought we looked absolute quality. Some of the passing again was just phenomenal.
Mwah.
But yeah, just it was something about it just didn't feel quite like it was going to go our way last night, which was not that I ever thought that we would lose, but yeah, I thought the second half obviously was a more patient display. I think patience was the word I kept using in the various chats that I was talking with people.
Patient. Well, we didn't have much patience in the stadium. We were sort of eager to get going. We were eager to get up and running. Obviously, there was a sucker punch. And I've got to be honest, at half-time, George, I thought I'd seen this story so many times before. Town dominant, Town sucker punched, Town walking away with one or walking away with no points. At half-time, I seriously was concerned. I kept saying to people around me, if we concede first, we're in trouble here, because for minute 3, the goalkeeper was time wasting, and it was dominance. Yeah. But we've seen it over the course of this season so many times where we get sucker punched. But it was different, and it was different because of the quality and the brilliance of Nathan Broadhead primarily. That's what you pay the money for, isn't it? Just, from your perspective, sat at home, obviously you couldn't be there, a full sellout, you couldn't get the tickets, but you could watch it on iFollow. How was it from home? How good was Nathan Broadhead's display, courtesy of the TV?
Yeah, excellent. I mean, he's always superb, isn't he? We missed him. We know how much we missed him last week, and he made a massive impact again. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure it was necessarily the Broadhead show from where I was sitting.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like you were saying about long run. I know we'll get to this, but it didn't really feel like it was. It just didn't feel like it was going our way particularly. There were just passes were a little bit wayward, or a little bit strong, or a little bit soft, and it was just a bit consistently happening. And I think sometimes you just have bad days at the office, and not that it was a bad day because we won, so let's not complain. We're being hyper.
We did in the end, yeah. But I think you're right there, though, George. I think the first half particularly we were sloppy. We were a little bit loose with those passing, where normally we'd been so crisp, so into feet, so fluid. I think a good word to use there is it was at times in the first half. Certainly, there's a little bit vital. Soon as they quite right, the end was missing.
Yeah, it was just something wasn't quite clicking for us for whatever reason, and like I say, and that's after the first sort of 10 minutes when I thought we looked like we could score 6 again if one had gone in. And I think if one had gone in the first 10 minutes, I wouldn't have put it past us. But they played the good old fashioned League One performance that we're too used to, aren't we? And the problem is, as soon as you concede, it does become 11 behind the ball at all times, and you really have to be even more patient then and break them down. And thankfully we did, and they started to lose their heads a little bit, like they have in their last few games. So not having anyone sent off, I think, was a big surprise for them last night, based on their last couple.
Yeah, but, a nice one for them. A thorough change. Emerson last night's game went exactly how I thought. Port Vale sitting deep 3 months ago, we wouldn't have won that. I think it's probably fair to say the same, isn't it? Emerson's spot on there.
Yeah, I think as we've talked about before, I think that the mentality is different now to what it was 3 or 4 months ago, and I think you could see even at the end when they were all celebrating and congratulating themselves, walking around the pitch, that was probably more obvious watching it on iFollow than being in the ground. There was a real camaraderie that I don't think we've seen for a long time. So yeah, it was great to see, and I think that that all comes down to the staff and whatever it is that McKenna's saying to them, and whatever the mentality is that they're having drummed into them during the week. So yeah, credit to them for managing to come back and break them down, because it certainly didn't look easy.
It didn't. AD Crouch, great idea that lead TT live. Hey, guys, I'm 90-10 going to London Road. If I'm there, there's a live show. I can promise you that. Where I go, the live show goes with me, particularly on a match day. I want to get everyone's thoughts after we've beaten the posh, or will be. I'll ask George's thoughts on that in a bit later on. Paul P, completely different obstacle to overcome than Charlton. We wanted to play football, whereas Val were just trying to bore everyone to death. Gareth Ladapo, thoughts on his performance? How did you see his performance, George? Because I've got my own thoughts on this one, but I'll ask you first. How did you see Ladapo's performance yesterday?
Yeah, I was chatting about it with some chaps that were watching on iFollow as well, and I think I don't know. He's obviously a great player. I think for us at the moment, his impact is late in the game when he can come on and bully a tired team like Port Vale. I think if we played our former, the squad from the last couple of games, and Hurst had started, we might have seen a slightly different outcome, because I'm not sure that Hurst is as much of an impact sub as Ladapo is. I don't think he has as much of an impact when he comes on late in the game, and whatever that is, and I don't understand enough about their football to know whether that's right or wrong or fair or not. But I think, there's just something about, I love Freddie coming on and for the last 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and really giving the defence a torrid time, because they've already been absolutely knackered by the likes of Hurst and Chaplin running at them all game. And I think, that's, I have absolutely nothing against Freddie playing. I didn't think he had a particularly bad game. I just think his strength for us at the moment, particularly, is coming on, and if he could score 2 goals in 10 minutes, it wasn't even that long, was it? The weekend.
At the weekend, yeah, a bit different game to come on to. I think, obviously,
for sure. But whether we'd have been in a different position, then maybe that's hugely unfair on Ladapo. I'm certainly not trying to suggest that he's sub-worthy. I hate to use the term super sub, but like someone like that to come on and really make that impression. There's value in that, and I think, whereas for me, I think Hurst is someone that seems to need a little bit more time to grow into the game. So I don't know. I have no. Again, I'm being hypercritical. I think.
Well, we're at the stage of the season where we are hypercritical, aren't we? Because it's coming down to the real fine margin. It's do or die time. It's boom or bust. And for me, Ladapo, as I tweeted out yesterday, it's not often you can bring a striker into the starting 11 that hasn't been playing, that's got nearly 20 goals in the season. That's immense. And his finishing is second to none. I think he's an instinctive finisher. I said that way back in the pre-season. I stick by that. He's an instinctive finisher. For me, though, George Hurst is a system player for this system. He fits it like a hand to glove. He is everything you need in this one-man system, to the point where he's such a handful. He opens up so much space for Broadhead, for Chaplin, for Luongo, now making those darting midfield runs from deep that we perhaps haven't been seeing or weren't seeing the first sort of part of the season from the midfield two, whichever midfield two they were. George Hurst fits the system. He is the system. I think you saw that yesterday. It wasn't that Ladapo was playing poorly. It's that they're completely different players. And Big Freddie, as a Rotherham fan, Torres, in the summer, he's not a lone striker. And when you see him, Ladapo plays first 60, just to put a number on it, and then Hurst plays the remainder, or vice versa, you really see the difference. You really see just how much one fits the system in a lone role, and one is not a lone role striker.
Yeah, I agree, and that's a much more appropriate way of putting it than I did, and I think you're right. I think that's the way to summarize it. Like
I think, and you saw that yesterday.
It just didn't quite feel like we were getting that end product in the first that sort of middle 45 minutes, I guess. After the first bit, it's not that Ladapo was anonymous. I just don't think he wasn't effective as Hurst has been in not just on the ball, but as you say, affecting the player and the players around him, and whether that had an impact on and I'm only picking him out because you picked him out, and I'm not necessarily in the same mind space when it comes to Luongo, but maybe that's why you didn't think you saw as much of him yesterday.
That's a funny one. So let's come on to Massimo. Watching it live, I didn't feel he had a great game, and I'm not quite sure if that's because he set himself a high standard, and watching it live, I perhaps didn't feel he was as good as he had been recently. As I said at the start of the show, that's not to say he wasn't quality yesterday, because he was still good, just not as good as he has been. But then watching it back, George, on the highlights, every highlight I've seen has involved Massimo Luongo, and I've sort of said to myself several times today, was he as bad as I thought he was yesterday live? Was it a case of just his standard has been so high that I was expecting magnificent Massimo and was getting pretty decent Massimo, but it wasn't magnificent? How did you see it? Because, as I say, every highlight I've watched has involved Massimo Luongo. It's had me questioning just what I was watching with my own two eyes.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't watched it back at all, but I didn't pick him. I don't think I really picked anyone out as having a particularly poor game. I think there was, as I say, there was just periods where things just weren't going our way. You know, whether it was the contact, whether it was just skipping off of the surface, whatever it was, just something just wasn't quite there in terms of the usual high standards of touches that we've come to expect for whatever reason. I don't think that Luongo stood out as one particularly, and I wonder whether it was just one of those games where sometimes, and it always feels a bit, particularly with like central midfielders, particularly sometimes they can go unnoticed a little bit, but when you actually, if you sat and watched them for the 90 minutes, you'd actually realise the shift they're putting in and how their game has had to change, particularly with everyone behind the ball, because the midfield was getting a little crowded, full of white shirts, and you know whether his game just has to change slightly when there's not as much space, and again when the lone striker isn't pulling people around as much as they're used to. I probably noticed Morsey more during the game yesterday, but whether that's because they just slightly changed their roles to make do.
Well, they have done, haven't they? Since Mass has come in, Mass has sort of been the Morsey eight box to box, and Morsey's been more that enforcer role he's played throughout his career. And Mass was good. Just, you know, I just wonder if it, because everything sort of is starting to involve Massimo Luongo. Everything's starting to sort of run through Massimo. And in the first half, as you mentioned yourself, it wasn't as slick as it has been. You know, the final pass wasn't quite there, or the touch wasn't there. And maybe that's where I was thinking, because he's normally involved in everything. And if you're involved in everything and it's not quite coming off, it obviously looks like we're not quite at it today or whatever. Yeah. But second half, as somebody said, you know, the whole team was phenomenal. Lee Evans, does he ever get back in for you, George?
Ever?
As in, like, you know, not this season. I would have thought he's not going to be fit enough, and I wouldn't be replacing Massimo anytime soon. But in the summer, all things considered, every player fit. You know, in the pecking order of things, is Massimo really leapfrogged Lee, or has Lee got that body of work that makes you think, you know, he's still probably all things considered a little bit ahead of Maz? Where's the number game?
I don't think anyone's ahead of Luongo at the moment. The way that he's been playing since he's come in, I don't think. Like you say, I can't imagine, unless it comes down to resting or a knock or an illness or something. I don't see anyone dislodging Morsey or Luongo out of central midfield at the moment. With
in either division, as in, like, you know, whatever happens.
That's as things stand. Yeah, absolutely. As things stand, I think if to displace Luongo at the moment. He's either not here or there's someone new. Jack
Taylor, who we'll see on Saturday. Right, we've got Phil possibly waiting. I'm not quite sure. The screen's fuzzy at best. I don't know what's going on with Phil. If he appears, I will put him on. We've got Josh Russell also. Norman Greenwald. When the opposition plays 7 at the back, it's hard to find that killer pass. Yeah, they were doing the old. I know you've ever seen the Sean Dyche masterclass video where he says you defend the width of your box. Because they were doing it yesterday, Port Vale. That was all they were interested in doing, defending the width of your box and just moving with it, the width of your box, and just letting Town to the point where Danny Haynes at halftime said, if we get the ball out wide, we'll score. And the first goal came from getting the ball out wide and scoring. But here is your customary April league table. Now, do not adjust your sets, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've probably been here since the start of Talking Town, but we are not in ninth. We are not where Portsmouth are. We are not where Wickham are anymore. No. Things are much rosier in the Talking Town garden because we can finally look at it and go, ooh, this is what looking like. This is what be excited about May coming up. Looks like Town sitting in second after last night's. I'm going to call it heroic. It's Port Vale at home, I know, but I'm going to call it heroic. Win, played 42, 88 points. Plymouth, George, who just won't disappear, who don't understand the words quit.
Give up, yeah.
A little bit of murmuring, actually, going around social media and other outlets. Stop singing "We are top of the league" during the game. Because every time we sing it, apparently, we jinx, if you believe in those sorts of things. Plymouth think they're scoring a goal.
Plymouth have been scoring late goals all season. I might be making this up, but someone will be able to say in the comments, I'm sure. But I'm sure I saw a graphic last week or the week before that said that had a league table of League One if the games had all finished after 90 minutes and Plymouth were 12th or something ridiculous.
I can believe it.
Like, it's just bonkers. And that's, I'm not complaining about that. That's just a testament to how they never give up. And it reminds me an awful lot of the Norwich team under Lambert in League One. That no matter what they could be 1 goal down with 3 minutes to play, and you never ever once thought they're going to lose this ever. That's the closest comparison that I can.
Never say never attitude. That's that. Yeah. I'm not. It's that never die attitude, isn't it? It's the game as a 90. All right, 96, but those 6 have been added on because they've not been used in the 90. And they just don't know when to quit. They don't know when they're beat. They don't know when, a bit like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. They don't know when they're on the canvas. Stay on the canvas, Plymouth. They just keep coming back.
No one could say that they don't deserve it. And every year they're there or thereabouts until sort of 12 games in the end and then drop away. And they haven't this season. So fair play to them. Whatever they're doing. Fair play to them, just carry on for a couple more games. I mean, I don't think we can hope that both of them drop away. And at the moment, it feels like, well, we're ahead of one of them. So
we've got to hope we get out of this division, though, George, because Leighton Orient and Aaron Drillen have just been promoted, and I do not want to be sat doing 2 matchday tickets next year talking about Aaron bloody Drillen.
Well, we're still doing it now.
Well, it's only because Graham in the chat mentioned it, because Graham is our resident Aaron Drillen super fan. He likes to remind me of the good times, the rich times, the caviar times of Aaron Drillen and Ollie Hawkins up the front at Portman Road. Paul P. Certainly Edmondson will try to get back in the team. Blue Heaven. Having seen Plymouth running, don't see us catching them, but I'll take second. Steve, our resident Plymouth fan, says EI. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that, Steve. You're just good luck, all right? Just get promoted already. We all know you're doing it anyway. Steve doesn't care about Plymouth. I don't care about Plymouth particularly, Steve, but I care about being inside that top 2 above that little squiggly line, which I'm sure has got a really posh name that George probably knows, but I don't. So I'm just going to call it a little squiggly line.
Dotted line, isn't it?
Dotted, is that what it is? Just a dotted line. Just a dotted line, he says. Right, perfect. Talking about perfection, last night, he was perfect, Mr. Josh Russell. Nathan Broadhead. He's got ice in his veins.
Yeah, it's got blue ice. It's blue and white ice now.
Blue ice. Were you ever in doubt, Mr. Russell, when he grabbed that ball and then had about 4 players decide to do a WWE-style Royal Rumble around him? Were you ever in doubt? Were you ever thinking, oh, he's going to get rattled?
Nah, no chance. Broadhead is not going to let anyone get in his head. That good of a player doesn't let anyone get inside their head. And he sent the keeper the wrong way too, so he got in the keeper's head clearly to send him the wrong way.
I love your confidence, George. But I'll tell you about talking about that Royal Rumble around him. I don't know about you. My heart was in my mouth when Chaplin put his hands on the Port Vale player and he did a rock style selling job of a Stone Cold Steve Austin stunner, because he literally flew like he'd been shot out of a cannon. Josh, I was like, oh no. Then the ref calls him over, and I'm thinking, fuck, we're going to lose our best player for the run-in.
That was only a shove. That was only a shove.
Yeah, just don't give referees chances like that, George. Right?
Well,
because the moment you give a referee a question like that, you're Dyson. You're Dyson.
No, if he'd sent Chaplin off for that, he would have had some questionable decisions to answer for, in terms of not rebooking their keeper for wasting time after booking him in the first half for wasting time, etc., etc. So it was a stupid bloody thing to do, and he was always going to get in the book for it. But if he just sent him off for that,
I was like, Josh, you obviously couldn't start the statue yesterday because your dad was picking you up and you had to go start work, or whatever the situation was. But we missed you. I certainly missed your presence at the statue, helping with the iPad. How are you feeling about your football club tonight? Then have your say. Here's your chance, your platform. Go, Josh. What's on your mind?
You know what? At half time, I was probably the most annoyed I've ever been, because for a long time that is. Because they were just so sluggish first half. We didn't turn up first half. It was a different team to Charlton, completely.
What do you associate that with? What do you put that down to?
Overconfidence, thinking they can come to Portman Road and turn every team over. Because we've done that recently. And that's what I was saying to people around me. I was saying, you know what, I think they're overconfident. I think they can expect to come to Portman Road and turn teams over. But a team like Vale, did I expect them to come and do a low block? Yes. Did I think we'd struggled against it? Yes. And we did first half. And as soon as that goal went in for them, I was thinking, oh, here we go. They're going to stick all 11 men behind the ball for 45 minutes, and they're going to time waste for 45 minutes. We got that set. We got the equaliser. I was thinking, all right, we've got a chance now. And I called us getting the second goal. But, you know, I mean, listen, that before the willingness that we showed to get back into the game and win the game is champion mentality. And teams that get promoted need to do that, and we did.
Just for anybody else watching at home that's not up to date with the football jargon, low block, what Josh really meant was they came and they sat in and decided they weren't going to cross the halfway line. That's what they meant. That's what he truly meant. Low block. Fuck that bollocks. They sat in, they didn't move, they refused to play football. Right, Josh?
Bus is a technical term, yeah.
Partner bus, yes. They borrowed the Jose Mourinho bus, which he's put into storage because obviously he's out of a job at the moment, I think, and he doesn't need it. And they brought it to Portman Road specifically just to block George, the Erling Haaland of League One, Nathan Broadhead. So they did, right? So they did.
Well, I mean, yeah, Chappers would probably have something to say about it, given that he scored all the goals. But yeah,
Nathan Broadhead's world, and we're just living in it. Well, that's what I'm feeling today because he's the man in the moment. But yes, Connor Chaplin, absolutely, you're right. Josh, before I let you go, who was your man of the match? Because I didn't get a chance to ask you yesterday. I always ask this question of everybody who comes on the show on the post game. You didn't get a chance to, so I'll ask you now. Who was your man of the match?
Outside shout, and I'm not going to say Broadhead because everyone's going to say Broadhead.
They did last night.
You know, I thought I had a really good game yesterday. Harry Clark.
Oh, okay. Tell us why.
He was bombing down that wing a lot more. He was taking men on a lot more and beating them as well. And, you know, I thought he had one of his best games. Probably the best game we've seen since his first game, which was Morecambe, I believe. And we all said he was good, but then I was thinking it's Morecambe, so they settled a little bit. But, you know, he was really good last night, I thought. Probably one of the best on the pitch behind Broadhead for me.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
That's
would
after,
you?
And I say I only jump in because I thought not necessarily the weekend, but I thought Easter Monday was probably and possibly Friday as well. I didn't think he had great games over Easter, I thought he started warming up again, but I thought last night he was good. But he looked his confidence looked a bit low. He didn't look bad. His just confidence just didn't quite look like it was there over Easter. But yeah, I thought, as Josh says, I thought he was showing a lot more intent last night. which was good to see.
Perfect. Mr. Russell, a pleasure as always. Look after yourself. Hopefully speak very soon. Stay well. Stephen Bills, the ref was too soft and showed consistency again. As if the referee who'd done the Derby away game was there last night, he'd have booked all of their players. He didn't want to give that handball, did he, George?
No, he didn't. There was a few he didn't want to give there, and there was a... Yeah, and the inconsistency again was what was frustrating, because there was halfway through probably wasn't that long through the second half, and he made one of their players take the ball back, and then he booked him for not listening to him and gave the throw to us, and it was just all over a throw-in, and then he kept doing it, and it was the same with the goalkeeper. Booked him in the first half for time wasting, and he just carried on, and that's because there's an element of, we've talked about this before, there's an element of, he's already booked me once for time wasting. No one in the history of football has been sent off for time wasting over a goal kick or a throw-in. Like, and no referee wants to be the first one, but absolutely does. That's the rule.
It needs to happen.
It absolutely does, because it's the rule, and you know it should happen. It absolutely should happen. The ref should be able to say, should be brave enough to say, look, I talked to you twice, because you saw him say, I've already talked to you about this twice in the first half to the keeper, and at that point in the second half, he could have said to him, we've now talked about this half a dozen times, and one of those times you got booked, and you're still doing it. Like, I can't. You've literally given me no choice.
Particularly when it's a first half booking, like it was. Like, I just think, and maybe it happens, because obviously we don't get to see what happens away from the field. But I would have liked to have thought the referees got into the dressing room or called the manager into his own dressing room and said, look, I've booked your goalkeeper for time wasting.
Yep.
I've noticed a few variants where, if I wanted to be strict, I could probably call it as time waste, and I haven't, because it's the first half. I want no more of it. Tell your lads no more. If I get any more, I don't care if I'm yellow or not, you're being booked. And then the moment the goalkeeper does it, or whoever does it, and they've already been booked, you can't say, well, I didn't warn the players. I didn't warn. You know, if the manager doesn't tell his own team, that's his problem. Like, you've got
the issue is that it's not the players, though, is it? It's a coached thing. It's coached behaviour.
Oh, of course, but
like,
if you set that
because otherwise the coach would be on the sideline saying, "Stop fucking wasting time," because you're going to get sent off.
For sure, it's a coach thing. But if you knew as a coach,
even if the referee walked in at halftime, as soon as he walked out, the coach would have just gone.
But the moment referees start going, well, it's not that, it's that. Bye bye. Coaches will start saying, look, boys, you know,
you want respect. You have to earn respect.
Yeah,
and I mean, you don't gain any respect from not doing your job properly. That's what it comes down to. And coming back to the handballs, that was ridiculous. Like, I've got pretty good at silently celebrating Town goals in my living room when watching on iFollow, but I was on my feet. I think halfway down my road, you could have heard me shout handball by the fourth time that it had been given.
George, I expected to wake up shouting handball. Honestly, I expected to wake up this morning shouting handball, and then various different swear words as I'm off my feet, giving it absolute bucket loads. Mike Dim has a great suggestion in the chat about a Barnsley watch along. Yeah, why not? I fancy a bit of that, particularly if we get a good result on Saturday. Watch this space, Mikey D. AD Crouch, it was great to see the ref eventually give the Valkyrie a yellow card. Just annoying that it doesn't seem to stop the keeper from wasting time. If anything, I almost think it gives them a free pass to carry it on, because they think, well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like disagree with Eddie slightly there. I didn't think it was eventual with the keeper, really. Like, he was, but as you say, he was booked early on. It was by sort of time wasting standards. That may be because they started early on, but he was booked so early in the game that there was just no excuse for not doubling down on it.
I get it. People will say it's a game plan, as Ben's always said here, or it's a different way of playing. It's all these different things. What I will say to you is, I watch Ipswich Town, I love them, but I go to football matches to see the football in play for 90 minutes. Yesterday's first half, it honestly, genuinely felt like the ball was in play for probably about 20.
But the thing is,
it was ridiculous.
Ben's absolutely right. They had a game plan and it worked, but the game plan shouldn't have worked because the game plan was against the rules.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They didn't work in the end, did it?
They get away with it because the refs are letting them get away with it. And you have to say, fair play, they can get away with it. So they're going to keep doing it, and all teams will keep doing it. And it's not like Port Vale are the worst at it, or they're the only team that we come across over the last 3 years that have done it. But they will keep doing it until there is more comeback on the refs for not adhering to the rules that they're supposed to follow.
And it's probably that right there you just said there. We've seen it so many times. It's probably that fatigue as a fan you've got where you've seen it so many times. It's just like nails on the chalkboard. It's like, here we go. It's going to be one of those games where I'm going to be more in play than the ball is probably.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not sure that that's not going to happen on Saturday or Tuesday because Peterborough and Barnsley both got plenty to play for. So both of them are going to be fun.
That said, would I take a point Saturday right now? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I mean, we'll come to that in a second. But David, €5 super chat. Appreciate that, David. Thanks ever so much. I really do appreciate that. Harps, Valor in trouble and trying to get points. Don't blame them. Blame the ref. Hey, not really blaming them. Blame the ref. Full play. But then it, yeah. I take the point. Right. Phil, yesterday at the statue before the game, there was no show because I'm still working on getting a second camera. But Milk Tray Man Ben Adams had a great shout for a Player of the Year. Yeah, surprise candidate, dark horse, whatever you want to sort of label it as. He said Luke Wolfenden. I want to know yours, George. But first of all, Phil, Luke Wolfenden, Player of the Year. You going for that? You buying that?
It's a dark horse for me, my man.
Yeah, well talk to me about it. It's a dark horse, but has he got some serious stakes in the race? Could he be doing it?
Well, how many clean sheets have we had this season in the league? It must be close to 20 by now.
Yeah,
loads. Okay, so yes, he definitely has a stake then. Is
that all him? Is he the best of the four, or do you think actually, if we're sort of going surprise contenders, maybe Mr. Burgess, the man mountain?
Yeah, it's kind of swung between sort of, Burgess and Edmondson at the time early in the season, but Wolfie as well. I mean, I think that for me, he's probably been. I say, how many starting appearances he had this season? He's practically played every game, hasn't he? Well, there you go.
Wolfenden, nearly has. Yeah, Wolfenden in a couple of games out where, for some unknown reason, if I ever met Kieran McKenna again, I'd say to him, Kieran, just have a word with me for a minute. Kieran, what were you thinking?
I think for me, Wolfie for me is just. I would say other than Morsey and other than Morsey, I think you could probably label Wolfie Mr. Ipswich Town at the moment. I think he's one of them characters in the dressing room. He strikes me as one as sort of heart and shoulder. I would say obviously he's a centre half, so he probably doesn't do as much as the others. But yeah, certainly you wouldn't disagree with him. Putting his hat in the ring of player of one of the best players for us this season.
So obviously you were on the full-time show last night, the live fan match reaction. You've had time to digest it and think about it. What are your thoughts this evening, Mr. Blundell?
I think for me, McKenna said, pre-show that there was a certain unpredictability about the fixture. I think that proved to be so last night. They obviously came, they tried to park the coach. They went with a low block, 5 at the back, made the pitch very wide and very big, which made it so that we actually had to work that bit harder, especially during the second half. And it wasn't easy. And they came with a game plan. They were organised. They kept their heads. And we had to really work hard in that second half. And by the way, just adding on to what Josh said, it was Harry Clark that won the penalty.
With a cross. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he won that penalty about 4 times, I think, let's be honest. But yeah, finally. And even though I think the linesman gave it, Phil.
I didn't see the linesman's flag. I was looking at the referee. I was firmly looking at the referee. Even though I was at the other end of the ground, I was firmly looking at that referee to see if he was going to give it. And he very didn't.
Do you know what I saw? Just red mist. The wall of red. That's all I saw. Honestly,
I would love to have been sat next to you when that penalty decision didn't come.
It was literally like a cartoon. Steve was coming right out of my ears. It was a. Tell you though, actually, half time. Josh mentioned obviously how frustrated he was. We had a little lad. Don't know how old he was. Sat 3 rows back, who was just in floods of tears at half time because Town had conceded. this big game that we all expect us to win. And he was just heartbroken. And we were all sort of consoling him and saying, don't worry, lad, they've got it. We're going to win. It's fine. I was saying it while also thinking to myself, I don't know if I can believe this.
Should be saying to him, you don't know pain, kid. Like, you should have been here for the last 20 years.
Maybe I've got to say though, I was saying, my mate Lee at half time was really cheesed off. He was saying, "What was Ladapo doing? He wasn't, I hasn't even turned up." And I said to him, "It's the whole team, Lee. It's the whole team that hasn't played well in the first half. We were 5s and 6s in the first half. Our passing was sloppy. We weren't moving anywhere near enough off the ball. We didn't have possession of it." And I said to him, "Just chill, relaxed. I feel confident we'll get the goals in the second half." And I trust McKenna. I'm saying, whenever McKenna's needed to change things up in a game, most of the time he's got things right. I know earlier on the season that, some of the substitutions that he made second half were questionable. And you could probably maybe say that in maybe 2 or 3 of the games early in the season that, we conceded 1 or 2 more goals we should have done due to the change in the second half. But mostly he's got his changes and tactics at half time right. And last night was one of those. I'm saying, again, bringing Edwards on with about half an hour to go, sort of, was it in the last 10 minutes that he took? I'm saying I was a bit concerned that when Davis went off, I thought we might be a bit exposed down that left-hand side. But no, I'm saying he got it absolutely spot on. Edwards played well when he came on. It was a threat going forward. And
but do you think that's the stakes, though, Phil? Do you think that's because of where we are in the season, in the sense of just how high stakes business end of the season it is? Because maybe 3 months ago, you take that point, or you think, you've got one or whatever, and you look at it differently. Whereas very much 1 point means, well, didn't really mean much. Obviously, we were a goal down at that point, but you're going for it a bit more. You're desperately chasing it, as opposed to, let's see if we can edge it with what we've got.
Yeah, I think McKenna and his coaching staff, probably thought that during the game that, at some point, now the season's really winding down now and the finishing line's in sight, that throwing Edwards on, so certainly from the Cheltenham game, was a gamble, probably. And, last night it paid off. And with only just one home game left, I just hope that, the Exeter manager wasn't watching that performance last night, because he might get 1 or 2 ideas.
Well, yeah, this is it. Absolutely. Phil, appreciate you coming on. As always, anything else? Is there one last thing before I let you go?
There's always one last thing. I've got to ask George. I say, George, were you there last night? Did you watch the game?
No, I was watching on iFollow, mate. All
right, I see. Okay, I'm planning to watch the Barnsley game on iFollow, because I'm not going up to Barnsley. Although I did have a chance to buy a ticket, and I'm thinking, should I not? And I feel a bit of a chicken wuss now, but never mind. Anyway, I would say from last night, my reflections on the post-match thing last night was the fact that I was mega pissed off with that certain team down the southwest that managed a last-minute winner.
You were fuming, Phil.
I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming. You're absolutely right. But, having thought about it 24 hours later, I'm going to say either which way, if they'd got that, if the game had finished after 95 minutes and they'd have drawn the game, they still would have been within 1 point of us in the table come this morning. So I'm going to say it's annoying that we're not top. I personally think that we'll go to Peterborough and beat them. It'll be a tight game, obviously. They've got something to fight for. We've got something to fight for. I can see it being maybe even a high-scoring draw. But for one thing's for sure now, I think having seen the reaction from the Cheltenham game against Charlton, and again last night, we have got the strength, we have got the mettle, we have got the determination and belief now to perhaps go the remaining 4 games unbeaten, which is why I think, very last thing, is that we've broken this season. We've broken our Sky Sports hoodoo. We've broken our international break hoodoo. That's 2, and we are going to beat Peterborough on Saturday, because we've not won there yet, and we're going to do it. And this is the season where we're going to do it. It's our season. We're going to do it, lads. Right? It's going to be a tight, feisty game, no doubt, but we're going to do it. Let's just hope that Walton if he's going to catch a ball and Johnson Clark-Harris is bearing down on him in the penalty area, he needs to punch it, not catch it.
Just any way you get, just get rid of it. Any which way. But I'll take that. I'll take that. It's our time. That was the catch line in the summer because it is our time.
Does anyone fancy a humbug?
Not me. I'm all right. Thank you, Phil.
Or
Phil?
a Pringle. Does anyone fancy a Pringle?
Well, once you pop, you just can't stop, my man. But anyway, Phil, look after yourself. All the best. Stay well and stay happy. Going to be shifting gears, looking at Posh in a little bit of detail. Obviously, got Friday night show 8:30 live. Myself, Matt, and Rich. The final look ahead to Posh and anything that comes out of Kieran McKenna's press interview. Before I have a breather, have a swig of water, and hear from our partners, George. Dark horse for Player of the Year. You've had time to think about it. Give us one.
Morsey.
Is that really? Can you really consider that an outside bet?
Yeah, because Chappers has got it nailed on.
Well, fair point. Or Broadhead probably in second.
Everyone is a dark horse outside of Connor Chapman.
Well, to be fair, because obviously if he's not Chaplin, you're looking to Broadhead probably, aren't you? You know, that's another player that's fast becoming cult-like status. Wesley Burn.
For sure. Of course, he's going to be everyone's favourite player, but I'm not sure that you can give him Player of the Year after 4 months. But I think
Richard Keogh says, Mike D. I still want to know why we were playing him for free.
You guys, let's be fair to Richard. We talked about this in the summer.
I'm not to be fair, George.
I don't think he came in. I don't think he came in expecting to play too many games. He may have played too many games. But there's one thing you can't take away from him is that he was going around that pitch with a massive smile on his face last night, and he couldn't have been happier. And he was leading the charge in terms of what I was talking about earlier,
you're right.
Just camaraderie and everything else. He was beaming, and we talked about it. Part of the reason he's come in is for his experience, not the experience that he's going to bring on the pitch necessarily, but because I think we've seen that his legs are probably gone. But off speaking for someone who's
I didn't go that far, George. I didn't go that far, did I?
But I think they probably have, but. Off the pitch, I think he's probably been worth his weight.
Yeah. Cue the old David Brent gif. Okay, brilliant. Right, so we'll quick breather. Here we go. Match Bingo introduces Live Football Bingo, where events in every English Premier League game can win you prizes for a £1 card. And the fastest full house of the season is worth £20,000. Head to matchbingo.co.uk for more information. Over 18s only. Be gamble aware. Get yourself over to matchbingo.co.uk for more information. This is something. It does. Now, this is something that you're obviously very familiar with because you work with them. I think you're happy for me to say.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about it, because I'm going to be honest with you. BINGOALS, the free one, I'm all over. And I was all over the free ones you were doing in the Euros, and I won myself a fair bit of money. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Just talk to us a little bit, but then tell the good people at home what it is, why it is, etc., etc.
Yeah. So Match Bingo is my baby, if you like. I'm not the founder of the company, but we're a small startup, gaming startup. It's bingo, but live sports. So it takes events from live sports like a football match. So throw in, goal, right footed goal, left footed goal, headed goal, added time, etc., etc., etc. Randomly distributes events onto a card of 15, onto a bingo card, and then as the game plays out, we use the Opta feed that Sky and BBC and all the rest use, and populate the cards in just about real time. And football is available. It's been available for a little while. Cricket has been available for the last 10 days, and I'm super proud of that one because that's one that I've been involved in from day dot. And similarly, BINGOALS is a similar game where it takes all of the teams that are kicking off at a certain time, usually 3:00 on Saturday.
And that's free.
And that's free to play. So you can have one card a week on our BINGOALS game for free. So you just have to register and then click the claim card button, which I've just reminded myself I need to do on for Saturday, but I'll do that after this. So if you register right now, this second, it won't be there, but in a couple of hours it will. We're a startup. This is how we work. when George has to do
T2 levels of
so you claim a weekly free card for the 3 p.m. kickoffs. We had one on Tuesday night. That's why we haven't got Saturdays up already. But so you get 15 random teams from all of the teams that are kicking off, and as they score, they get ticked off on your card. So and that's free, and you can win up to 175 quid a week. So.
And Jacob Farrow has already won on the cricket one. Look, I won on the cricket Monday. I like the system. Now, be gamble aware over 18.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I need to. I will stress, because I know that it makes some people uncomfortable. But this is an adult platform, so we absolutely wouldn't put our name onto anything that wasn't aimed at adults. We have very strict know your customer, it's called, rules where you can't register unless you're a UK resident, and also obviously over age, and we have strict policies in place to make sure that we use a third party industry standard to check that, but also we will check manually if that fails for whatever reason. So we do everything we can. We've also got some we're a gaming for good company, so 50% of all card sales go to good causes. When you register, you get to choose one from a selection, of which 50% of your money will go to. And yeah, we do what we can, and that's all we can do, really. And you're limited to 5 cards per game as well, apart from BINGOALS, which is just 1, obviously, for free. But but
there we go.
I'm here, and I'm more than happy for people to reach out to me if they have questions or issues. And we're a small company, as I say, so please don't hesitate to shout if anyone has any issues or questions.
I might clip that up and get it out throughout the various. But I do know that we've got a comment here saying, "Do your Git comment?" I don't. This is like talking gobbledygook.
It's nothing to do with Git commit. I've literally just got to log in and push a button. This is it. I'm the Git in this situation.
Okay. But as I say, I know your customer thing from the summer when I tried to then register my wife to play for free. I was thinking, I'm winning this money for free. I'm thinking, this is fucking great. Right, so I got and then it was like you had to do all these different variation stuff, and she thought I was signing her up to sort of, I don't know what she thought I was signing her up for. But she was like, "What's all these emails?"
To be clear, it's a very easy registration process. It's just got some clever stuff in the background.
It has. Right, Posh at the weekend. Gov 90% going to be there. They're in 5th. Last 5 drawn 1, lost 1. Top goal scorers Johnson Clark Carrick with 25 goals. Their top assist maker is Joe Ward with 9 assists. And their last game was yesterday, 2-1 victory over Anchor and Stanley. But let's be honest, it shouldn't be who are they. It should be who's not beating them this year. Referee is Gavin Ward. These are stats, George, from Transfer Market.
Mm-hmm.
So take them as you will. I don't know how reliably good they are. But appearances 34, 119 yellows, 2 reds, 8 penalties, average card of 3.5 a game. And you will be pleased to hear, and everyone at home will be pleased to hear, this is a predominantly a championship referee, having refereed 28 championship games compared to his 3 League One games. Does that make you feel more confident, more assured, more safe that we are getting, on paper, a championship referee, at the very least, for this fixture?
I'm less worried about the referee when I'm reasonably confident that it's going to be a proper game of football. I think most of my complaints about the referees has been about consistency, and a lot of it has been about consistency of decisions around time wasting. So yes, of course, we want the best referee from the highest level that we can get for our games. We don't want them to be fans of our direct opposition, basic stuff. One could argue, but I think I'm not too worried, because I don't think there's an awful lot of danger of anyone wasting time immediately. Don't get me wrong, if we're 3-0 up after 35 minutes, I don't think any of us will be complaining when we start doing it. But I think we want the best rest we can get, and nothing about that makes me roll my eyes and go, "Oh God!" And I think that's the main thing with referees at this level. Yeah,
because it's fair to say, George, there's the league table. Obviously, they need it as much.
100%, yeah.
If not, maybe to 1 degree more than we do. They're currently in 5th, 73 points, a game more than Bolton in 6th on 72. Derby have played the same number of games but are 1 point behind. So they're actually in a like-for-like situation to where we are. We're in 2nd by a point. I want to keep hold of it. They're in 5th by a point and want to keep hold of it. So they're going to want to have to come and win because a draw could see them fall out of the top 6 come 5:05 on Saturday night. So this should be an open game, which should, maybe you'll disagree, I don't know, should favour the boys who normally play in blue and white, but we expect to play in
red and black.
Black.
I think. I agree. I think they've got everything to play for. Even a draw is not really good enough for them if Wycombe pull a result out. So because then they start to drag themselves into contention as well. So I think. I think it should be a good game. I look forward to it, I'm slightly jealous that you're going to be there. But
I'm so nervous.
That's the problem. Is and that's pretty much. You can understand why it might have been a bit nervy last night because the players were probably feeling the same as us for the first 45 minutes because you can't not. It's only human to be nervy. When you start getting this,
I'm bricking
close.
it. We normally don't turn up at Peterborough. We normally don't turn up, George. I don't think I've seen us win at Peterborough. Maybe I shouldn't go. No, honestly, I was in the home in the home fixture of this tie. I remember saying on the show then, Posh might be in the worst run of form. I think they were at the time, but they normally find a result and. When you have these close geographical links, and it's not as close as other clubs, of course, you know people who support them, or you've got, so Robbie D, who's on the platform, his wife supports Peterborough, and her family supports. When you start knowing these people that support these different, like we never beat Watford. My father-in-law supports Watford. We never beat Posh because people I know support Posh, and it's like, here it comes again. Here it comes again.
That's what we're talking about, though. We're past that, aren't we? I think as a team, at least, we're past that. I think that the whole hoodoo thing is one of the first things you try and beat out of players when it's like, don't pay any attention to all these stupid bloody idiots on podcasts who start talking about this team or that team or this situation or that situation or floodlights or whatever else. It's just go out and play your football.
Absolutely,
and I think that's where we're at the moment, and that probably gives us our best chance.
Mike D, just making me laugh there, George. Gov, you saw Luca score 2 goals. Miracles can happen. I was there that day. He scored 2 goals in one. Yeah, unbelievable. Maybe better to play away from home when nerves are jangling, less crowd anxiety than the home games. Stephen Bills, I can't wait with the 12 on Saturday. I can't wait to use my voice again. So you're confident. I'm nervy. Any changes for you?
From last night?
Yep.
Hurst and Ladapo.
Hurst and Ladapo? Love that. Hurst foot coming in for Ladapo. I think I'm all over that myself, to be fair. I think is every Town fan in favour of that one? Let us know in the chat if you disagree with it. Maybe you would start Ladapo again. Is that the only change? I mean, we're at that point of the season now where it's the only change, right?
Yeah, and that's absolutely nothing against Freddie at all. As I say, I think they've just both got qualities that at the moment are working the other way around. And I was surprised that Hurst didn't start last night, and wonder whether that may have just been because we were possibly slightly more confident than we ended up making it look, and just gave him a break.
I am here. I was just sort of sniggering to myself because I am just. ITFC Mad said the team is totally focused. God will beat by Posh and Barnsley. I was just sniggering to myself. I was just thought to myself, tell you what, I'm going to be such a Johnny come lately because if we beat Posh, you bet your bottom dollar you know where I'm going on Tuesday night. You can bet any money you want, pal. If we beat Posh, I'll sit outside Oakwell and do a show and not even go in the stadium if I'm going to get a ticket. Like, try and keep me away from the atmosphere, George. Because if we win on Saturday, and Wednesday slip up,
real, yeah.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm so excited to get back to football. Can't wait. Okay, score prediction then, George, as we round up the show. And we're back on Friday, 8:30, where I'll probably be a whole bundle of nerves and excitement all wrapped into one. But your score, please, Mr. Nunn.
I think it's going to be really tight. I'm going to go 1-2 Town.
That'll do me. Very lovely. Zero, we could very unlikely get promoted at Oakwell if we win against Posh and Wednesday lose. I was just thinking the exact same things, Zero. That's what went through my mind. I was thinking, oh, that sounds exciting. Mark Taylor, all look at the form column. Who's in form in the top 6? I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's Ipswich Town.
Just to go back to the last comment, I've had a gut feeling for the last couple of weeks that the day that we could get promoted will be Exeter.
Yeah, likewise.
I just there's something about like it's just gonna. Can you imagine like the phenomenal atmosphere? Like I still remember, was it 91, 92? I know we didn't get promoted that day at Portman Road, but I remember that day.
I will cry.
The week after we did, where we all will, right? Like that's.
I will blub. I was really blubbing after 2-1 up yesterday. The heart was in the mouth. But I think you're right, and I think. Don't
get me wrong. I'd love it if we get promoted before that, but just something is. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it could be on the line at Exeter, even if it's like results go our way. Blah, blah,
because it's the Barnsley game, isn't it? Because if as long as you match Wednesday on Saturday, you get 3 points at Oakwell. You're 4 points ahead of Wednesday with 2 games, 6 points. So whatever you do, but providing you win on against Exeter, you're promoted because they can't get 4 points out of one game. So
I think we can afford over those games. We can afford to drop. I don't want us to, but we can afford to drop 4, right? Because that way Sheffield Wednesday can only catch us on points, and to overtake us at that point, they're going to have to score a lot of goals.
We go live to Hillsborough, where they've given their 55th penalty to Sheffield Wednesday.
but that, that's not the way to look at it. I wouldn't be encouraging that as don't worry about it, lads. We can afford to lose a game. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's absolutely in our hands at the moment.
Who have Wednesday got Saturday? Let's have a quick look. Exeter. Well, it's not an easy game. It's not a hard game either, but it's not an easy game. All right, there we go. We're back on Friday for more Talking Town action, more Ipswich Town content. Thank you all for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe, support the platform through all the ways I just tell you about. Hit the join button. But he is the designer, George Nunn. I am the Gov. I'm going to Posh. Looking forward to 3 points. And I'll see you on Friday. Up a town, boys! Crazy from just the thought of you.